said, was it because of his skin color or his skill? We'll never know, but there's always doubt.
And that's what
that
I said.
was from,
They
so we
have
didn't
to
introduce
answer,
the
but I'm
question of
saying
race.
they have to answer to that.
Hegseth basically questioned CQ's qualifications because he was black, and he said that in that podcast.
I don't have a problem with the dismissals, and I think that we do Brown a disservice by assuming that he's being let go because he's black, because then that means that he was chosen because he was black. And I don't think that he was
Why would that mean that? He's a four-star general. He was
that's
picked
the
by
cover.
Trump. CQ Brown should be fired. He said so because he said he doesn't know if he's qualified because he's black. Maybe he got his promotion because he's black, or maybe he didn't. He questioned this man's qualifications after 40 years in the military. But
Hello, everybody. Guys, let's get right into this panel. Another day, another racist move by Trump, and MAGA pundits defending the racism. I want to talk deeper about that, but let's get into this panel and we'll talk about it.
what is your reaction to this news tonight?
Well, my reaction is that the Trump Pentagon does not welcome black people. They're discouraging black people from joining. There's no home for women. We know also the CNO of the Navy, the Chief Naval Operations Officer, who's a woman, was also fired tonight. The commander of the
Air Force Vice Chief, we actually have the list up there. The Air Force Vice Chief was fired, the Lieutenant General was also fired, and then 3 JAGs were also fired.
Yes, so there was a purge of the lawyers, the senior lawyers, and the message there is that there's no rule of law left. It's a lawless purge. They removed the lawyers, and you have lawyers at every level of command. And it's a terrible message to send out tonight. And also, it's in the military, what we know is that we come from all different walks of life. We're different races. We have different economic backgrounds. We're different genders, and that there's no place for disrespect or a lack of respect for the dignity of soldiers.
One of the things to remember about CQ Brown, he was put in his previous position by Donald Trump, and Trump praised him when he did that. He actually was on duty today, as he always is. He was down at the border with our troops down there when this firing order came down. How can we look at this and not see this as just simply Pete Hegseth has decided that he is a symbol of DEI, and that's why he was fired?
Abby, say it more direct. How do we not see this as anything other than racism? This is what this is all about. I hate this going around circling the drain. It's all about making people believe that people of color are incapable, incompetent, and shouldn't be trusted doing anything that requires any level of intelligence. This is why Trump said immigrant jobs, which are usually lower skill jobs, you need less education to do. He called those black jobs. Why would he do that? Why would he say that? Black women are the most educated group in this country. Why would he say that? And like this stuff has like reverberating effects. This is on top of already what people have, these disgusting views of people of color. That they're violent, that they're dangerous, they're poisoning the blood of people, they're eating cats and dogs, they're incompetent, they're incapable. This is on top of that. This is just truly unbelievable. It's about taking power, taking chances, opportunities away from people of color. Mainly black people, because this is their favorite target. These people are effing gross.
I don't want to say it's a symbol of DEI. I mean, this is maybe surprising. No, we've been seeing about this. Secretary Hegseth was talking about how he needed to go. But look at what Hegseth is talking about as the Pentagon as a whole. He is looking to completely restructure the approach that the previous administration had.
That's
so he's
not
going to be
why
replacing
Hegseth
a lot of
said
people.
that's not why Hegseth said he should be fired. He said he should be fired because he was, in his words, involved in DEI. CQ Brown, as far as we know, there's been no indication that he's been fired for cause, that he did anything wrong, that he has some philosophical approach to war fighting that is different from the president's.
I mean, you serve at the pleasure of the president, though. That is the nature of these roles. And so the president is clearly looking to go in a different direction at the Pentagon. So he's going to put a new team in place to do that.
Well, I thought
Yeah, based on skin color. And that's why they're talking about it. They're allowed to talk. Sure, he's allowed to do that. And we're allowed to talk about how disgustingly racist it is. Why you constantly, these MAGA pundits constantly try to defend it. But I can guarantee you guys, like, again, how's this alienating black people, people of color, make us any safer? Wouldn't that make it so that we have less recruitment, less enlisted officers, making people feel like they're not wanted? How about the soldiers that are there, that are people of color? How do they feel? Why would they stay? But I can guarantee you, if there's a war, you're going to see this mass campaign, mass recruiting of people of color. Like every single war we've had, diversity was just fine then, right? DEI, come on in, right? These guys are gross, and I hope Hispanics more than anything that voted for Trump are seeing this more and more. That you may think because you're Hispanic that you're seen differently than black people. You're not. I'm sorry, you're not. They just use different attacks on you. They see you or us as a Hispanic the same as any other group of people of color. I'm sorry to tell you that if you didn't notice.
you were going to play that other clip in that, I think that same podcast where Pete Hegseth basically questioned CQ's qualifications because he was black, and he said that in that podcast. That this is in the Associated Press story. His remarks saying, "I don't know if he's qualified. Maybe he is. Maybe he isn't because he was black." So it's hard for anyone to read this, other than the fact, as you pointed out, that this is a very directed purge that has nothing to do with philosophy, that has everything to do with the faces of the military, which Pete Hegseth has said several times that he doesn't respect women soldiers and he doesn't respect people of color serving in these positions. And so by putting this out there, if you're in the military and you're a person of color, or even if you're just a person of color in this country, how are you supposed to feel seeing this?
Which is going to be an issue. There have only been two African Americans who've served as chairman of the Joint Chiefs. CQ Brown was the second. Right. Colin Powell was the first. And he's also now no longer the highest ranking black officer in the military.
We've been hearing a lot about military readiness. A lot of these men and women who got their jobs lost today have spent their whole life dedicated to defending the flag and defending this country, no matter the color of their skin, just like you said. And I think that that's what we have to think about, military readiness, because that's what Republicans have been using to justify some of the DE&I stuff that's been going on within the military and all branches of the government now that Trump's in office. But these are real folks with real experience. You know, I've worked with groups like Vote Vets around the country and worked with folks who I admire every day because of the sacrifices they make for our country. And thinking about these folks that's done this under this auspice and the voter out there and in the focus groups the last election we were in, this is not. Sure, everybody voted for change in some form or fashion, but I don't think this is the change they voted for. And I think there's going to be repercussions for this kind of anxiety now that we're going to have in a tenuous world.
Before you...
Oh, I'm sorry, but I think there's a lot of the Republicans, a huge base of the Republicans that love this racist crap. This is racist red meat. This is how they keep control over that party. They're, again, playing on their fears, on their inadequacies and insecurities of capable people around them. And it's why they constantly attack DEI. It's all about their own insecurities and their belief that they're not able to be as successful as they would be if the pool is opened up to more people. People of color, women. It's all about entitlement. It's literally the opposite of meritocracy. There's a big section of the Republican Party that they believe they should be in higher positions. They should have more wealth. They should have a better life than people of color, because in their view, the disgusting things that they've been taught is that there's almost like a ranking system. There's a hierarchy. The lighter you are, this is how they view it. The better you are. These people are gross. Hispanics, I hope you're seeing and hearing all this.
Well,
jump in. I
think
want to ask you about something you
Sure.
raised too. The JAG situation.
Yes.
These are the military lawyers.
That's right.
Three of the highest-ranking military lawyers were. They're saying they're accepting nominations. Presumptively, they're being fired. This is also a Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, who in his confirmation hearing, he was questioned about his use of the term jag-off, and he suggested that JAGs, rather than enforcing the law, they are trying to get promotions and that they don't have the best interest of rank-and-file soldiers.
Well, I deeply disagree with that conclusion.
And we can't forget also Pete Hegseth advocated to Trump for pardoning people who were accused of war crimes.
Yes,
So
he
put
did.
that all together.
Yes, I mean, the fact is he convinced Trump to issue pardons to 3 officers who were engaged in war crimes. And people witnessed that. And when you don't take accountability, that actually diminishes unit cohesion. Because when people are treated differently and it looks unfair, then that is a real demoralizing occurrence. And I would add that when you take out the top legal officers, you're talking about the White House sees itself as the law and order over the armed forces, but actually you need lawyers at every level of command. And I would add that this is a readiness issue, because what's happening now is that the Trump White House is playing a subtraction game. And the military has not been able to achieve its recruiting goals, and they certainly aren't going to be able to do that with white men only. This is a very diverse union, it's a unit, and it's probably the best example of America at its best. It's really a travesty.
Yeah, I mean,
And the reason for that is because, again, it's not about merit. It's not about keeping the country safe. How does this keep the country safe? How does this help us? To push people aside, push groups of people aside purely off racism. There's no reason for this. There's literally no reason. And again, I'll say it over and over. It's all about this incapableness of dealing with the world around them. Republicans simply don't want people of color or even women working, because it's in their belief that if that's the case, then they will be less important. They will be of lesser value, and then they won't have that control over their wife, their girlfriend, or society in general. Again, it's fear. This is why it's so easy to make Republicans vote. You just scare the crap out of them about a new fake monster under the bed, and they jump to the nearest strongman. For people that are against gays, they love men. I mean, they love men. They love men and despise women. I don't know what that is about. You tell me what you think about that in the comment. They're weird when it comes to what their view of a man is. It's I don't know. I think they're hiding something about their personality, but I'll leave it there for that.
In the idea that they want to start to now influence how the law is effectively enforced within the military, why would they do that?
Well, there are a number of things that the Trump administration do that is cause for concern for a number of people. But in this case, I don't have a problem with the dismissals, and I think that we do Brown a disservice by assuming that he's being let go because he's black, because then that means that he was chosen because he was black. And I don't think that he was
Why would that mean that? He's a 4-star
because
general. He was
that's
picked
the
by Trump, actually.
But I'm saying the conversation that we're literally having around the table is that the reason he was let go is because of his race.
Well,
that
the only
Donald
reason
Trump
we're
has a
saying
problem
that is
with
because
race.
Pete Hegseth said he should go because
He's
pushed
going to have
diversity.
to, he's going to, and the Trump administration, because they've kind of jumped into this DEI things, a lot of things that they've said, they're going to have to answer for. But I think we should put that aside from why he was let go. Obviously, there were conversations for months now about the fact that CQ Brown would be leaving. Well, it's happened now. And I think we, again, do him and all of women, men, people of color in the military a disservice to say that if Donald Trump takes an action, then the reason he's taking that action is because of race. I don't think
that we're responsible for making that
Pete
connection.
Pete Hegseth is, because his comment was it when he talked about whether or not the position that CQ Brown was in, he said, was it because of his skin color or his skill? We'll never know, but there's always doubt.
And that's what
that
I
was
said.
from,
They
so
have
we didn't
to
introduce
answer,
the
but I'm
question
saying
of race.
they have
He
to
did.
answer to that, much like Charlie Kirk.
To answer
Charlie
to
Kirk
who?
made the comments about the pilot saying that he's now going to feel
they're
uncomfortable.
not. I
But
think to
again,
Jamel's point,
that's
they're
different from the
not gonna
firing,
have
though.
What is Malik talking about? They have to answer to that. Yeah, they have to answer for that kind of racism. Just like Charlie Kirk for his disgusting racism about saying if he sees a black pilot, he doesn't feel safe of flying on that plane. Obviously, because a black pilot, that's impossible, right? There's no way that a black person, remember, black women are the most educated group in the country. There's just no way they could be a pilot, right? Malik, you are so pathetic. How dare you? Like, people like him, Byron Donalds, just step on your own people just to get an extra fruit from the fruit tree. You're so gross. How do you honestly, I can't understand it. It's like 2 + 2 = 8 to me. I don't know how these people look at themselves in the mirror, knowing that the people you're supporting, the people you're working for, Malik, hate you. They think you're subhuman. They think that no matter what achievements that you have, no matter how far you go educationally, that you're just not as capable as they are because you're black. You couldn't possibly be. And you defend that? How effing dare you?
You can't say that he's fired because he's black.
Okay, hold on. Let's just break this down.
Well,
Pete
it
Hegseth
feels like
is
a pretty unwelcoming
he is the
environment.
Secretary of Defense. He said 3 months ago
Before he was Secretary of Defense.
Right, but okay, he said 3 months ago CQ Brown should be fired. He said so because he said he doesn't know if he's qualified because he's black. Maybe he got his promotion because he's black, or maybe he didn't. He questioned this man's qualifications after 40 years in the military. But I want to, okay, Pete Hegseth aside, CQ Brown aside, the person that Trump has chosen to replace him, this is the other part of the coin. It's what Pete Hegseth has said, and then there's also the kind of political loyalty that's at the heart of it. Here's what Donald Trump has said about Raisin Cain, who is replacing him.
So I walked down, and this is where I met General Raisin Cain. And what's your name? General, what's your name? And he gave me his name. What's your name, Sergeant? Yes, sir, and I love you, sir. I think you're great, sir. I'll kill for you, sir. Then he puts on a Make America Great Again hat. You're not allowed to do that, but they did it.
What's wrong with that?
I didn't say anything was wrong with it. I'm just saying this is the context in which this is all happening. Trump is not, he doesn't give us a lot of surprises. He likes people who love him and who are loyal to him.
Well, and especially after the last 4 years that he went through and seeing a lot of people who were part of his administration who then went out and were saying a lot of very negative things about him, he feels they were disloyal to him. So he's going to be very serious about making sure he has people who he knows he can count on. And I'll say we had the race.
And right, hear what she's saying there. First off, the people that went against him were pretty much after January 6th, when he attempted a coup, an insurrection. Like, and for her to say, oh, well, you know, he's going to put people around him that he trusts, can't possibly be a black person, right? Why doesn't he trust black people? And if you start to think about this, it starts to make more and more sense. He knows he just went, this is an all-out assault. An all-out assault, racist, not only the campaign, but as soon as he came in office, he's doing nothing to lower food prices, but doing everything to hurt people of color. How many of the stuff that he's doing, DEI this, woke this, blaming plane crashes on a woman or a black person, like, it's just been all out. Any chance they get. This is foundational to their whole 2024 whatever presidency. And think about it for a second. If they're pushing all this racist crap, Pete, Trump, all of them, and for Pete to be talking about anyone's not qualified, you're an alcoholic, dude. And I don't say that lightly. My mother has drinking problems. You're an alcoholic, dude. And you've admitted that you drink in the morning before work. But you can be trusted? Your own mother said you treat women horribly. You have to settle for sexual abuse. And when you think about that, yeah, he does qualify for the Trump campaign. This is literally what you need for the Trump administration. You need to be a vile creature. And again, why would they trust black people after attacking, constantly attacking black people? Why would you trust them anywhere near you? They have to do this. It is technically a safer move to put another white man in who's part of the cult, who's as weak-minded as they are, who will listen to every word they say. Mindless. That's what they want. Someone mindless.
This conversation, it's not the first time relationships have soured between President Trump and the Pentagon. I mean, he's been very upset with the top generals before, General Milley, General Mattis, and race wasn't an issue there. It was just there's a very difference in their approach and leadership styles.
As far as I know, I have not heard Trump say anything about CQ Brown and things that he has actually done. So that's the other part of it, is that there's really not a lot there except for Pete Hegseth's comments. I want your take on that last piece.
Sure, but I just want to add, on the first day of the Trump administration, the commander of the Coast Guard was fired, a woman. Nobody said anything about it. It kind of got buried in 31, executive orders. So that's another person, and that's gone from leadership. And this really is a readiness issue.
Yeah. We now have 2 members of the Joint Chiefs who are out tonight. Not unprecedented necessarily, but certainly notable, a notable start to this Trump administration. Tanya Domi, thank you very much for joining us.
And guys, I'm going to leave it there, but before we leave it, just think about how people say, oh no, racism has always been here. Yeah, I know that. But it's definitely been rising since Trump has came to office. And how do I know that? I remember, as disgusting as racist this was, Trump said, oh, you're one of the good ones to a black person, right? Insinuating that there's only a handful of good black people out there. Now it's coming to the point that even the most highly educated, that general had 40 years of military experience. That even the most highly educated to be in that position, to be a pilot, cannot be trusted. If you're black, you just cannot be trusted. You obviously didn't deserve to get there, because clearly there would have been another white person more competent than you. It's just impossible. It's impossible. Think about how far we've gone now. And this stuff has reverberating effects outside of the military. This is how it furthers along the view. Because guys, there's a lot of people out there that like Trump, that follow Trump, that are supervisors, that are managers. I've said this before, that are HR people. You don't think this affects their psyche and how they see people of color? If they believe in Trump and believe that what he's saying is true or whatever? Think about it. Trump is the president of the United States. And he's saying crap like this. He does things like this. It's just effing horrible. And again, how this makes us safer, how does this make the world a better place for the next generation, is beyond me. How people can defend him, especially someone like Malik and Byron Donalds, they constantly attacking your people. I don't care. I'm sorry. You could pay me $1 billion a day. F that. F that. I could not sleep. I could not sleep having that on my mind. I could not look at myself. These people are scum. I'm going to leave it there. Please let me know what you think about all this in the comments. We have to continue to push back. It's why I talk about it more than anything. Yeah. Please leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Please subscribe. It really helps the channel. And I'll catch you in the next one.